board is essentially um, we get clients' testimonials in a similar fashion like we're doing here, and then we present those testimonials to our clients where we cut up some parts and then shoot them an email saying, hey, here's Curtis who got into internet lead generation in a period of this long. He closed his first deal. It took him this long. And then I ask you things like, what is it that you would suggest to other agents? What should they do to get better at this game? And it's mostly to help agents encourage other agents truly to understand there's value inside of this. Now, this actually leads me well into when we first started this. When I first started this, one of the main things that I realized is agents suck at converting leads. They really suck. Yeah. So
it's not a lead generation problem in real estate. It's a lead conversion problem.
Yeah. And what was interesting with that is when I first got into this, I generated 100 leads myself. So honestly, how I really got into this is I went on, I generated 100 leads myself, and I called each of those 100 leads myself as if I was a real estate agent to see how many of these can actually close. Because that's, in a marketing perspective, in any world, when my past stuff that I've done, a lead is as good as the person who's actually qualifying the lead. And you could always say leads are shit, but if you're not doing something to fix that process, then you're really not doing it right. So after me calling 100 of those leads, I could probably have sold 5 to 10 of those people in a period of time, which I said, listen, there's a business there. It's great. Let's now, what I did then is I called about 300 agents a day selling them this service, because this goes back 11, 12 years ago. And internet lead generation wasn't huge. There was a couple of companies out there doing it. And there was no systems. It was literally just you generate a lead. And as soon as the lead is generated, it's passed to you in an email. We collect some information about it. And then it's up to the agent to really qualify the lead. So me not really understanding the psychology of an agent to understand how to actually qualify leads, I didn't teach them that to begin with, thinking that agents should know. If you're an agent, you should know how to work with internet leads. And that was my mistake, because in all honesty, agents need to get trained on how to work these internet leads, because even if you go back 12 years ago, agents weren't as young as you. They were usually been in the business for a long time, and they were not used to actually working with people they never worked with before. They were used to getting referrals. They were used to, there was no MLS online. So before, if you needed to buy a home, you had to go to Curtis and say, hey, Curtis, can you send me listings? What's out there? Because there was nothing online. There was no MLS kind of on the internet kind of thing. So after about 8 months of doing that, where we passed leads directly to agents, we had a cancellation ratio of 70%. So 70% of the people that got on board when I sold them canceled their services within 8 months. And knowing that we cannot operate our business on a retention ratio of 30%, it's just impossible. I called every single one of those agents and they said, listen, I want to know what happened. I want to know, I've got 30 clients who are saying they absolutely love this and they're making a killing. And I've got 70 that hate it and want to cut my head off. Like what happened? And most of them never called any of their leads at all. Most of them called a couple. They saw there were bad leads. They saw there were, people that didn't want to talk to them, and they never called any of the other leads. So at that point, I actually hired an ISA team. We had 8 people from 8 o'clock in the morning to 8 o'clock at night. We had a return of 5 minutes. As soon as the lead come in 5 minutes, we were actually calling the lead, getting on the phone with them, qualifying the lead for the agent, and then passing a better qualified lead to the agent. That was actually the service to begin with. It was we were selling qualified leads. We did that for a year, and then we got served with a cease and desist order from the Real Estate Council of Ontario. And they served us with a cease and desist order saying that we're practicing real estate without a license. So we hired a lawyer at that time to help us understand the process, and we understood that we're really not at fault. They can't go after us because RICO governs the real estate, and we were never taking out clients in any way. We're just qualifying leads. Yeah. However, after looking at it with a lawyer, he said that, listen, you guys are causing the agents to be at fault here because they are doing bird dogging. They're paying us for leads, and they're not allowed because we're not licensed in any way, shape, or form. So there was a problem where if we continue to qualify leads, agents are not allowed to hire unlicensed people to solicit business, at least in Ontario. I'm not sure about Ottawa, but in Ontario, they're not allowed to hire unlicensed people to solicit business. So,
Well, and Ottawa would fall in, it's the same thing as it's all Ontario,
oh
right?
yeah,
So
that's right.
like
Oh my God, holy crap!
everything's governed the same in Ontario.
Wow.
Not in the U.S. So
You can tell how much I visit Ottawa. I'm always thinking Quebec. I'm always thinking Quebec, and for fuck's sakes, it's a capital province. I mean, it's the
yeah,
capital city in the province. Where am I? Oh my God. I don't know why I was thinking Quebec. I always have, but at any rate, you're gonna have to forgive me on this one, and I'm gonna definitely cut this part out.
yeah, that's all right.
So considering that it's illegal, we had to stop all qualification. We built our business up to a point where we had about 380 or so clients that were buying leads off of us, and they were buying quantity. They were buying huge numbers because they loved the leads, because they were getting qualified leads. And in fact, we had points where agents were coming in saying, "I want to pay these people that are qualifying my leads a little bit more, so they can do a better job." In essence. But that had to stop when we realized that part of it, and that's when we started building systems to automate the follow up, to give the leads what they're looking for, which is the listings, to nurture the leads that way rather than through a system, and then teach agents on how they're supposed to approach the qualification game.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry, my spouse is just yelling at me from upstairs.
no worries. I actually don't hear it at all.
I'm just gonna let her know that I'm on a call. Sorry.
No worries, no worries. Yeah, I don't hear it at
Um,
all. But yeah, awesome. Take your time.
sorry about that.
No problem at all, man. I know how that goes. You have kids?
No, I do not yet.
Not yet.
We were supposed to get married in July, but COVID happened, so uh,
Ah,
yeah, yeah. So everything's pushed back and delayed.
yeah, that's a tough one, man. That's a tough one. I can't imagine. I got married in July too. It's a hot month. We actually decided I didn't really know because I got married at 21. I got married very young,
Mm.
and we hadn't been anywhere outside of Canada, both her and I. And when we got married, we ended up going to Cuba for our honeymoon in July. Not really knowing how it is in Cuba. I mean, it was pretty hot, but we didn't know that you got to have sunscreen on. And one day we went out from morning to end of day. We came back with second degree burns, I think. Not even knowing. Like my wife goes in to take a shower and she's running out of the shower screaming because what happened was she put body wash on herself, and then it went into her pores because she was so blistering up. She didn't even realize that she was blistering up. It actually started like eating her and biting her.
Yeah,
So don't go to Cuba in July if you're ever
yeah,
gonna.
yeah. I probably wouldn't.
Awesome. So that's kind of a quick story of how we got to this and where we are. How did you find out about us?
Well, I don't know if you've had a chance to look me up at all, but I'm actually a real estate coach with Goodfellow Coaching and Consulting.
Oh my God,
And
I had no idea.
so people are wondering, like, I guess I'm a young guy, but I actually run my own program, and I coach agents, and I was a successful agent myself, and I just the last 2 years have been focusing on coaching. So I just like you, I talk to agents every single day.
Oh wow.
And I have some clients that are using your service. And I decided to get my license back here. So like I'm pretty entrepreneurial, and obviously I have the coaching business, but I wanted to get my license back. I was living out in Western Canada, and that's where I got established and became a top producer, and got the credibility. I was actually a Coldwell Banker 30 under 30 award winner globally
Oh wow.
in 2017. So like I've been in the business, I've done a lot of reps, and then I got into the coaching game because I actually used to work for Goodfellow Coaching before I moved out to Western Canada.
Okay.
And I actually partnered with the company and started my own coaching program. It's my next gen coaching program. And so I'm coaching agents that are making anywhere in between 200 to 600,000. Agents and teams that obviously want to build their business. A lot of agents treat themselves kind of as just salespeople. They don't treat themselves as a business person, right? Can you hear me? Hello? I can't. Can you still hear me? Because I can't hear you. I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, now I can.
Okay, and I can hear you now as well. You just literally cut off for me, so for some reason it just mixed up. So yeah, you were
Oh yeah.
saying, yeah,
So I don't even know where we left off.
you stopped on I mean, Goodfellow, and that's amazing. And then you stopped
Oh
on
yeah.
when you moved over to Ottawa, you ended up getting your
Well,
license.
well, I'm from Ottawa originally. I moved out to Western Canada and started
Yeah,
working for Coldwell Banker out there, and that's where I got established and became a top producing agent and really got the credibility. Like my plan was to always become a coach
right.
because I was working in business development for Goodfellow before.
Okay.
So then I had the opportunity to actually partner in with the company back in 2018, and then I moved back home to Ottawa and where we're located and have been working as a coach full time. COVID happened and the Ottawa markets actually kind of went crazy. Sorry, my dog's crying here. The
No worries.
Ottawa markets went kind of crazy. So I was like, you know what? I can still be a full-time coach and get back into the business here as well. I have a lot of connections. And I learned actually a lot about Agent Locator through some clients that are using your service. I've used different lead gen services before, and I know that Agent Locator is kind of more Canada specific. So I liked that, and I've seen the difference. Like I know the agents that are having success with online leads, and
Yeah.
in particular Agent Locator, and I know the agents that aren't. And the big difference is, like you said, it's the follow up process, right? Like a lot of the times, it's not, it's not very common that you're going to have someone like come right out of the gate and want to buy from you. It does happen, but most of the time with online leads, it's the conversion after, right? So with what one of my clients is doing, I've actually developed a process on the back end of Agent Locator where within the first 2 weeks, we provide like 14 touches, and that's piggyback, text, and email, right? On top of the property listings that people are receiving. Like I'm using Agent Locator strictly for Google Ads. Like I have a Facebook side of my business that my operations manager runs for me.
Awesome.
But we came up with this process, and the thing is for me, like I'm an agent. I know what I do. Like I'm a coach. I'm here just to talk to people. That's my job is to create relationships. So this is just making it easier for me because we have a lot of things automated. And I owe a lot of credit to my operations manager, John, because he can really go into the back end of Agent Locator and do all this stuff for me. But we changed things because like we noticed, and I knew it was going to be like that because my one client he's based out of actually Burlington, Oakville area.
Yeah.
He's having a really good, his name's Michael England, by the way, but he's doing really well with Agent Locator. It's like the main point of his business. And he's developed some automation. So I know what kind of his automations are. So I actually expanded on those a little bit.
Nice.
And that's where we developed our process. And it's funny, within the first week that we were using the Agent Locator service, like I know there is automations with Twilio and the emails that are provided out of the gate, but it's only 2, right? And most agents that I know, they don't really have the capability to go into the back end and create their own campaigns and things like that, or they just get lazy and they don't want to do it.
Right.
So immediately what happened is we ran the first week with just like the regular automations, and they're okay. We were getting some response, but we changed things up and added our own campaign. Like I said, the 14 touch points. And within like 2 weeks, I ended up actually straight automation, communicating with the client. And then, I was out on showings. I sold the house, and, it's closing in January. So
that's amazing.
I'm getting some good response each week. Like my big thing is with coaching clients, I always tell them the best thing that you can do is each week try to create like 1 to 3 relationships with people, right? So the same thing that I'm applying to Agent Locator is I'm trying to create relationships with these people because then they're going to trust me down the road to buy. If they don't, I don't care if they don't buy tomorrow, right? I want to be the person that they come to when they're ready to buy. So after the Agent Locator pipeline or process is done, I'm getting into now, because it's been such a hectic process getting my license back and still coaching, but we're actually sending out weekly emails now with video where we're either updating on the stats. We used Agent Locator actually just to send out our most recent mass email, and it was good. It's nice. You can see the open rates and things like that. So it's not kind of, the thing is with me, like I've learned a lot about Agent Locator from clients and been able to apply. Like I talk to agents every day And I think that's one of the reasons why I'm having success with it, is because the tool is great. Like, I wouldn't know how to run a Google ad myself. So
Yeah.
that's why I leave that up to Agent Locator, but I've been able to fine tune some of the things to apply it to my business.
Yeah, and that's awesome. Honestly, I mean, the fact that as long as you get the leads, and then how you handle those leads down the line is going to determine on every agent individually, and every agent does it a little bit differently. And we will and try to automate as much as possible. We are actually coming up with a couple of campaigns that are a little bit longer to allow the process to last a little bit longer. And it's also then we're going to only incorporate that into new accounts, because we can't change existing clients' campaigns because they're not already, they don't know it's going to be changed. And even if we sometimes send them an email saying, hey, something's being done, they don't see the email and they don't see it right away. But it is something that we're planning on changing. There's one change that I'm really looking forward to that's going to help you guys find some of these gold leads a lot easier. So here's what we're seeing. In our backend, we're doing data analysis to figure out, to find repetitive things that these leads are doing, because there's a very specific process that each of these leads go through. So, for example, if I am somebody who's at the very beginning stage of the buying process, there's a pattern that I go through. Or if I'm somebody who is, let's say, 3 months away from buying a home, they go through a different pattern. You can clearly see, for example, from the point of when you get the new listings email to the point of when you open that email, that time span in between of how long you wait to open the email is a direct indication of how interested you are in buying a home.
Yeah,
And
totally.
so these behaviors.
Well, and the people, and you can tell, I guess, from the people that are actually even opening them too, because some people don't open the new listing emails, right?
Oh, for sure. But the actual fact that what's interesting is as the time spans, so these leads are in a dynamic behavior pattern, meaning that when they first enter the system, the patterns that they're exhibiting are not the same patterns they exhibit a year from then. Because yeah, and it's interesting. So what we're doing now is we're creating the ability for you to trigger a message, not just to you, but to a lead based on a pattern behavior change. So meaning that the moment that a lead comes into the pattern that we know is based on a lead who's currently looking at properties actively and are probably more interested in buying, if they weren't in that pattern before but enter that pattern now, you're going to have the ability to trigger an SMS message to them, or trigger an email to them, and trigger an email and SMS message to yourself as well to notify you of that pattern behavior change.
Yeah.
So those are some of those things that it's hard for you to catch because you're working on leads. Yes, you can send messages. Yes, you can get the correspondence, but if they're not willing to give you that correspondence because they're not ready at the stage yet, I would love to know, when does that change? When does that state change based on that behavioral pattern? So that's going to be quite exciting feature that we implement, and you guys are going to have the full power to indicate exactly what you're going to say to those leads when those things happen.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. That's pretty cool. I think that would definitely be helpful.
Yeah, and the other thing we're actually working on is creating a rating system. So seeing these different patterns, we're now trying to figure out, how do I rate these leads better for you? Meaning that the leads that are indicating all these different patterns that we know are good indicators of a lead being more ready to buy, I want to create a scoring system so you can click on a sort option that sorts all your leads based on the fact that these are rated higher, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So even if you haven't caught them as a hot lead, you can see that, hey, maybe this guy's a hot lead, I got to maybe concentrate on them a little bit more.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's really cool.
Yeah. So those are the couple of changes we're going to be making in 2021 for sure. And any suggestions, honestly, Curtis, I had no idea that you were part of the Goodfellow coaching group. I have never really had direct interaction with anybody from Goodfellow. And in fact, we honestly don't have a lot of coaching clients that are helping us, other than we have a lot of them just referring people to us just for the sake of it. We've been approached by a few coaching companies where they want us to increase our prices and they want us to pay them part of the fee. They want us to give them part of the actual system cost. So if they send us clients, we have to pay them 50% of what we get. 50% of what we get right now is not enough for them. And we don't have the ability to give them 50% of what we have because we need that money to operate as a company. And I have never put myself in a position where we're going to do that. And honestly, we've never really worked with any, and I've never been contacted by anybody Goodfellow in any way, shape, or form.
Mhm.
It's been other coaching companies that
Well,
reached out to us.
well, the thing is for me, like my program specifically, like you can take a look at it. Like I could even send you the link to the
Please.
information and stuff.
Yeah.
But like for me, like I'm actually the reason why I got back into sales as well is because like if you look at the coaching industry, a lot of the people are old. They've never used this technology, right? Like you have guys like Tom Ferry and Mike Ferry and Richard Robbins, and then obviously I could say like Ken, he's older, right? Like the messaging, the stuff that they're putting out there is obviously a little bit different. Like for me, I've created kind of like my own voice within the industry.
Yeah.
And I think today to be a coach, you really, and I'm finding it more and more, people respect you more if you're actually in it. Like those
Yeah.
guys haven't done deals since like 85. You know
Right.
what I mean? Like I was 2 years removed from doing deals and I was like, shit, like, you know what I mean? I need to get back into it. So, like what I'm actually working on right now is building my program brand, obviously with my sales business as well. I actually have a podcast. So like I don't know what your plans are for expanding into the US, but I have a ton of contacts in the US from my 30 under 30 stuff with Coldwell Banker. I actually have a podcast with two of my buddies in the US that we have agents follow us and things like that.
Yeah.
And I was talking to my operations manager, John, about this today. I was like, if I'm talking to the CEO of Agent Locator, like, I don't know, I'd be happy to like help him. I'm using their service. I'm like someone who's actually using your service, but it'd be helpful for us too. Like if you were on our podcast or something like that, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I'm not one of those coaches that's like, oh, I want 50% of this. Like I was thinking about this and I was like, I think there's an opportunity for me to like,
There's enough value. There's enough value in what you do. Yeah, there's enough value in what you do, and people should be signing up for what you do based on the value you create, and people would sign up for what we have based on the value we create. And that's what I said to the other coaches. And I would love to, so I would love to align myself. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what exactly like it would look like, but I think that there's some way that we could have some sort of affiliate marketing thing. Like I'm working on a lot of big things for 2021, but I'd love to keep the conversation open with you about like what we can do to help you. Like I have agents that use your service that I coach. I use it myself. Like I'm not asking for any sort of compensation on what I'm giving. I just think that there's an opportunity to provide. Like you got to look at it, right? When you're giving someone information about your service, you want to give them like 90% of the stuff for free. Right. You want to get your content out there, right? The other 10% you keep, and that's what you're going to provide to them as your service. I know it's a little bit different for Agent Locator because you guys provide a whole bunch of different things, but from a coaching perspective and like as far as that's concerned. But anyways, I know that we're getting off topic here, but like,
no, I don't mind it at all. Honestly,
I do believe in the service. Like it's one pillar of my business, right? Like Google Ads. I know that you guys are a partner with Google. I don't want to even figure out how to run Google Ads myself. So it's great that I have this platform that runs them. I'm getting leads. I know what I'm paying to get those leads. I figured out how to work this service. I actually got a great lead today from Montreal, someone looking to buy, awesome. And that was off automation again as well. So but like I said, it's funny that you mentioned the thing about the other coaches. Like I'm more in that new age, right? Like I understand how the power of social media. I understand that, you know what I mean? I'm not looking for a handout or anything like this. I think that there's a way that I can help you with my platform, the way where we're going, where we want to grow. And, you can help me and my agents and stuff.
Yeah,
right?
There's synergy for sure. Yeah. So to answer your question in the US part, we have a lot of US boards. We don't have a lot, but we have, I think, 7 or 8 US boards. We have California, CRMLS, one of the biggest ones. We have Seattle. We have 4, I think, 2 or 3 boards in Texas. We have about 4 boards in Florida. So we do have U.S. exposure. We're not a ton. We're not national yet, but we do have some U.S. exposure, and we can certainly help your clients from the U.S. perspective. When it comes to your social media ads and when it comes to your Facebook ads that you're doing, are most of the ads based around listings? Are they saying download and get a list of listings?
No. So like we're running our as far as buyer leads, like I have a huge sphere here in the Ottawa area. Like me moving back here, like it was always something I was thinking about the last 2 years. Like, oh, am I going to get back into actively selling, or am I just going to focus on coaching? COVID's taught us a lot that, obviously you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket, but I think that there's just an opportunity. Like I can coach from anywhere in the world. Being a real estate, like I can do both jobs full out, right? I'm young.
For sure.
I have the motivation to do it.
Yep.
But like as far as buyer leads, like I have a big sphere. So I'm working with some buyers off that. But agent locator is where I was like, okay, this is where I'm going to focus my buyer side of my business.
So seller side, listings is my
seller side, I have a farming strategy that I'm implementing. Awesome. But also we're targeting those farming areas through Beautiful. Facebook and Instagram ads. Beautiful. And you know what I mean? It's like we actually were thinking like, oh, maybe we direct them to my agent locator site with the homework thing, and we still might do that. But like I've actually created, like off my coaching experience, like with my operations manager, we've created a seller's guide that we're actually running as ads. Like, you see, I have a green screen. I have a studio in my basement, so like you can shoot some really high quality videos, and that's
I love that. Well. That's awesome.
And
I love that.
Agent locator is the buyer side of the business. Print advertising and mail outs, Facebook ads, that's all listing side of the business, right?
Love it. Yeah. Now I was just going to say, if you wanted to automate some part of it, because we do have a Facebook integration. So if your leads are coming from a lead form ad or a lead ad on Facebook, you could automatically have it go into our CRM system, and you could automatically set them up on listings there as well. So if you, for example, some of the ads that are like, get a list of homes under 600,000 in Ottawa. I don't know if they exist, but and when they click on download, the sheer quantity of leads that you get from that is huge. The buyer leads that are coming through that, you're probably generating a lead for every $1.50 spent, you're getting a lead. Now, the quality of the leads is obviously a little bit something you have to think about, because there's a huge number of leads that come through. But you could automate the whole thing where the lead from Facebook goes into our CRM system. Our system sets them up on listings, and we'll send them that list of listings that we promised. And you can also set them up on your SMS drip campaign so that they actually become part of your flow automatically. So that's something that's possible if you want to do that with the Agent Locator platform. I love your idea and your concept. I call it digital farming. So you're doing your farming on offline, and you're doing the same farming on online as well, and kind of connecting the message together. And that's beautiful. I love that.
The only thing that's really shitty is that, with our coaching business, we run ads and things like that. And before, you could actually be a little bit more specific with the postal. They just recently changed that in Canada. So we actually had our whole plan that we're rolling out to target specifically by postal code and everything like that. We can't do that on our Facebook ads anymore. So I mean, you can pin drop within like a radius now, which kind of focuses on the area that we want. But
what you could do, the pin drop is quite big. So the problem with the pin drop is because you have to specify that type of category. The pin drop is even bigger than a mile now. So that's the problem. But what you could do is you do one pin drop that's inclusive, and then you do surrounding pin drops that are excluding. So you see what I mean? So you're kind of excluding the larger side of the areas surrounding where you want it to be. So, but it takes quite a bit of work to do it. And it's aligning the exclusions properly, but it is something that you still could target a smaller area that way.
Well, I think that would be really good. Like I said, I really hope that this isn't our last conversation. I think that there's conversations for us to be had here about certain things. Because like, again, it's amazing how many agents that I talk to, like whether they work with me, like we have people inquiring about coaching a lot, right? So I'm talking to agents about what their business structure is. Like that's one of the first questions that I ask, like what they're doing, what are their sources of leads, right? And not a lot of people for most people it's past clients and sphere, right? But that's not gonna get you to that next level.
No,
right?
If you want to scale your business, you have to have a source of leads that are coming in. And the way I look at it is, if you look at that funnel, the typical marketing funnel, you're always throwing top of the leads, top of the funnel, and then funneling it down, and getting the good leads out of the bottom of the funnel. And you have to have a constant way of filling that top of the funnel, because if you don't have the top of the funnel, then you're not going to be able to fill it. From a cost perspective, if you're trying to fill your funnel from the side, and getting the quality leads from the side, the cost per that lead, cost per actual getting that lead is huge. Like it's, you're not going to get a lead that's ready to buy immediately that easily. Like you said, in the farming perspective, which you're doing right now, the cost per lead is quite high, I'm guessing. And that's because farming on a print scale, putting the flyers together, farming on Facebook as well.
To be honest, the most expensive thing is Canada Post. Like everything else actually isn't that bad. We have some connections that we can get things done for a better
Amazing.
price, but yeah, like the Canada Post thing is the thing that kills you. But like the thing is, like the strategy is pretty aggressive off the start, and then it kind of tapers off, right? Because you got to think about it. If you're gonna try to do print like, I even like 6 months ago was like, print advertising dead, but it's not in a sense if you do want to get into a farming area. But the thing is, like, if you're an agent that isn't in a farming area yet, you can't just be like, okay, I'm going to send out one postcard a month, right? If you want to get into that area, you have to hit them with like the strategy that we're kind of using is the 3-3-2-2 method, where the first 3 months we're sending out 3 pieces of content to that. It's expensive as shit, but January we're sending 3 pieces of content to these 3,000 homes. February and March, and then we switch to 2 times a month, and then taper off to 1. That's the way you get into the market, because if you're just going to try to send out one postcard, I get 15 postcards in my mail from agents.
It's not going to work. I mean, we know that it's not going to work, and then the hard part is helping the agents understand who don't understand it, why it's not working. I spent $10,000 and I covered 10,000 homes. I didn't get one phone call. Well, no shit. It's repetitiveness that you need to actually have in place. But not only that, there's also the turnover. Like how big is the turnover in that area? How many people are actually looking to move every single year in that area? Because that's a huge determination on whether somebody's going to even want to contact you at all. And the way that I try to explain this to agents is telling them based on a car. So, for example, when was the last time you bought a new car?
2018.
Okay. So before you bought that car, you may not have seen that car everywhere you go, but the moment you started driving that new car, you started noticing the same car. You're like, oh shit, there's another car like mine. And then you're like, oh crap, there's actually other cars like mine. So this is actually, our brains do this to us. We're humans in a nature that it doesn't allow us to concentrate on things that we are not focusing on. So unless I'm focusing on something, I'm not actually seeing it. So now when we relate this to real estate, if I'm not thinking about selling, I'm not seeing your ads. I'm not seeing your flyers. I'm not seeing your brochures. And only when I start seeing it is when it actually starts to interest me. So as an example, if I'm getting a flyer from you that actually has some valuable information and valuable insight that I may find useful, I may actually ingest that information. Or if I'm in the process of buying or selling a home, I'm only then paying attention to your flyers, to the actual bus shelters, and saying, oh shit, there's that agent that I got the flyer from. They're actually in the bus shelter as well. Before that, they didn't even notice you because of the fact that the brain didn't let them notice you. And that's just the general nature of humans. In fact, there's a sickness that exists that with crazy people that go completely crazy, where they don't have the ability to filter what they pay attention to. They pay attention to everything they see. So it's built into us from that perspective. And knowing that, you have to understand the psychology of an individual is set up in such a way that it actually is ignored. Your ads are ignored. They're not seeing it unless they actually want to see it, kind of sense.
For sure.
One thing that's worked quite well on the farming perspective, it hasn't gotten quality, but it's gone to quantity, and that's the nosy neighbor. So I don't know if
I was going to ask about that. I saw that, and it's funny, before I got back into the sales full time. Like I know that Agent Locator has that capability, but a couple of my clients were talking about it, and I just I don't know too much about it right now.
Yeah, but tried it.
Yeah. So is that nosy neighbor? Is it more geared towards seller leads?
It's geared towards the farming concept and generating quantity from a farming concept. So if you think of it this way, if we're saying to them, everybody's a nosy neighbor. Everybody wants to know when a home is selling in their area, right? So I'd love to be notified when a home goes for sale. And not only that, but the moment that for sale sign goes in the ground in my neighborhood, there's one thing that I'm curious about. Actually, 2 things. What is it selling for? And what does it look like inside, right?
Yeah.
That's immediate. As soon as I see, oh shit, because it's really dependent. My home price is really dependent on that. So now, what our system does, if you think about it psychologically, is every time that for sale sign goes in the ground, they're thinking about real estate. And then if you have that client set up in the Nosy Neighbor program, they keep thinking about you every time you think about real estate
Yeah.
immediately, because that's
Yeah.
what they're like. Oh yeah, Curtis is going to send it to me because I'm set up on that program. That's awesome. I can't wait for that. So,
So,
the,
so
yeah,
they have to. So is the ad run to the nosy neighbor portion of the site, or like how does it work, or is the ad run like to this form where they fill out where they can become a nosy neighbor? Like I just don't understand the
yeah.
dynamics of it.
So the ad would run directly to the Nosy Neighbor page. So your ad on Facebook would be, um, do you live in you should concentrate more in the area. So if I live in Glen Abbey, as an example, Glen Abbey is a community name. And it says, do you want to be a Glen Abbey nosy neighbor? Question mark.
I saw the club in the background too. Do you play at Glen Abbey? Are you a member there?
I I don't. I actually I've been trying to get used to playing putting a little bit, but that's about it. Michael England loves to play golf, and Michael is actually
I know. I took him to Glen Abbey. We played him in September. I was
get
going
out
to
of here.
visit.
Wow, that's crazy. I
Yeah.
don't know. Do you know the history between me and Michael?
No,
So
no.
I didn't even know this. I had no idea, but Michael became our client. He killed it, and he came on my Facebook saying, "Hey, thanks so much. I want to let you know you created a great program." And I'm looking at his picture. I'm like, "There's something recognizable." The guy, who is this? How do I know this guy? So I message him. It ends up being that when I was 18 years old, I went and I bought my BMW from Michael.
Yeah,
Michael sold me
yeah.
the BMW. Yeah,
He's a manager at BMW. No, I've worked with him now for a year and a half. He's been a coaching client of mine.
yeah,
I talk to him 3 times a month. We have a great relationship. He's awesome. He's actually expanded his, like, he was an individual agent and then he hired an assistant, and now that assistant is actually transitioned into a full-time agent,
that's
and
awesome.
they're both using Agent Locator as part of their business. She's going to be a rock star, so they're
That's
actually
awesome.
going to be looking at expanding and probably getting another assistant. I mean, COVID pending, we'll see. But he's built a lot of his business off Agent Locator, and he's really a client where I talked to him about this was so he's been using the service for such a long time, but like we had lots of discussions on, like, okay, his automations and things like that, and he's kind of been part of the idea of where I came up on, like, how I wanted to expand on that, right? How I have my automation set,
Right.
and you know what I mean. Like, I attribute some of the early success I've had using Agent Locator. Obviously as a coach, I can help him with a lot of different parts of his business, but he's a client who I've been working with who's been having success with it, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to do it too, and now I'm having success with it, which is great. And yeah, no, it's funny that Michael.
He
That's
sold me my
hilarious.
first car, man.
Small world.
This was before Agent
Small world.
Locator. I didn't even know I was a programmer. I got my first job, and thinking, how should I spend my money, is immediately buy a car. As soon as I got my first
Yeah,
job, was like, buy the BMW, and he sold me that BMW, man, and that's where I knew him from. And I was like, I crazy, and he didn't know that I'm the guy that he sold the car to. We only connected later time. Like, oh shit, you're that guy. So anyway, kind of going back to the concept of nosy neighbors. So nosy neighbors, it works quite well. If you ever want to test it, I'd love to create a strategy with you and help you create that strategy around where to focus the ads, how to focus it. If you want to test it out with a client, or if you want to test it out with yourself, whoever you want to test it out with, I'll work directly with you, Curtis. Honestly, I had no idea that you're involved with what you're involved with, and what I love, like, my value is understanding you guys more than ever before, because I'm not in real estate. I'm not in it every day. And I learn from you guys, and that's the only way that I can learn. So I love having the connections like I have with you. And I have maybe about 18 clients that are like that, where I'm very deeply involved with their entire process, entire business, just to
yeah,
understand it better, just so that we can make better services for what it is that you guys offer. So there's a better connection there. And that feedback loop is quite important in any organization. If that feedback loop doesn't exist, it's going to suck. And I wish honestly that I actually got into real estate, and I'm honestly considering opening up a brokerage in the States where I'm not
yeah,
competing with any of my clients, because
yeah.
I can't open something here. It would be crazy for me to do that.
Mm.
So I'm looking to understand this stuff better. I want to pick a city in the States where I have zero clients. I'm never going to compete with anybody there. And the services that we offer there are primarily for ourselves. And the only thing that I want to do with it is understand, how do I make this product better based on that? It's something further down the road. I need somebody that actually understands this stuff really well for me to make that person kind of the head person in that area that's going to head the whole thing. But until then, that is my goal, and that is what I want to do. But I'm never going to compete with any of my agents here, because it's just, that doesn't make sense. Yeah.
For sure. So if you're emailing directly, is it like, cause I don't know, I think it was your assistant or something that was messaging me. Like if I emailed your email address directly, would you actually see it? Like, you
Oh,
know what I
100%.
mean? Or,
Oh, I look at
yeah,
all my,
okay.
yeah,
Okay.
I'm very much involved with everything. I get involved with my assistant to help me with some of the stuff, but with these connections, I'm very much involved, and I read all my emails, and I'm in the front lines. Like, if there's a problem, I'm the one answering it. I'm not having my assistant deal with it. If there's something happening, I always want to be there. I'm very much an involved CEO. I'm not in the background in any way, shape, or form. If there's a fire happening, I'm the frontline guy there to, taking it down. So anything that you have, any suggestion you have, anything that we can do together, let's figure it out. If I can help you in any way on your podcast, let me know how I can help. I love the
Yeah.
concept of.
Like, I think that we should definitely figure out a time to chat sometime in the new year. And like, I
Yeah.
don't know, I'll think on it. I'm going to talk to my operations guy, John. Like, he's very techy. He works a lot of the back end stuff with Agent Locator, and he manages he does
If you
everything
guys
social media wise for
If
our
you
podcast,
guys put a
everything. But
program together, here's one thing that we could possibly, if you guys put a program together that helps agents with the concept of qualifying internet leads and doing a better job with internet leads in a general sense. And if you guys
yeah,
create a package around it, then we can bring you on as a guest to one of the webinars. We'll advertise it to all of our clients and say, hey, here's a guy that's done this in Ottawa with internet leads. If you guys want to get help from the perspective of how he's going to set it up, and he's going to set it all up for you in the system, then we can certainly offer something like that through the side.
he's an actual coach, and yeah, like I honestly think that there's potential there, and like if you're eventually looking at your expansion into the U.S., like I have contacts in the U.S., but I do think that there's something that we could do for each other. And like I said, I'm not going anywhere with the service right now. It's working for me, but I'm not one of those coaching companies that's going to be like, oh yeah, like I'm looking for like this percentage or that percentage. Like, I just think that there's a way that we can, like, for me, it looks like it's a way to expand my network, create contacts, right? To be able to build business that way. And it could be the same thing for you with the
There's
agents
enough
that I have.
value for both. There's enough
I
value
have
for both.
I have a lot of big plans for 2021, and I'll definitely keep you in the loop on what's going on with that. But
I have
we
been
can.
considering this. If you don't mind, if I just want to pass something by you, I have been considering doing something like this. One of the things that people have been asking for, especially with our service, is something like a white label solution. Okay, and a white label solution is essentially where we operate the technical stuff, but you guys handle the entire sales concept of whatever. So if you want to literally sell our platform for yourself, then you set up your own automation. You set up however you want to set up all the stuff. We don't get involved with any of that. We're primarily billing you what we're billing you now, and you resell that service for whatever you want. So if we had an option like that, is that something that you would be interested in?
Yeah, like honestly, I've always like for my coaching program, like I'm always looking for like I have to fix everything as far as like my platform for clients and like the value add and everything like that. So like I said, there's definitely some way, shape, or form that we can work together and help ourselves. And like for me, it's just more of a matter of building connections, expanding my audience, because like I don't just plan on being strictly an agent and a coach. Like I want to impact the industry in a sense, right? And being young, like there's not a lot of people my age that are thinking like that and that want to do that. So like I do think that there's a good relationship to be had here.
Sure.
And I mean, it's cool that Michael somewhat, right? That's hilarious. It's just funny with that connection. And a big thing that I always talk to people about in business is like, I'd want to do business with someone, or I'd want someone to do business with me if they look at me and they're like, hey, like that's someone that I'd want to have a beer with. So you're probably someone that I'd want to have a beer with. So I think
for sure, man.
Definitely want to, right? So
awesome. Well, whenever you're in town next time, make sure hopefully COVID is going to be over and we can have a beer somewhere in Burlington where your sister is. So
I usually go to Burlington a few times a year.
Nice.
So I just don't know what's going to happen with these freaking lockdowns and everything, but No, like I'm gonna think on some things, and then I don't know if there's any like if you have any ideas, like message me. But I definitely would love to have a call with you again, and I
Yeah.
don't know, like even I'm always big on mentorship and things like that too. So
Are you on
so
Facebook at all?
yeah, I
Let me.
can. You know what I'll do is I'll I'll talk to John here because we actually have like a home office set up right now because of COVID, and I'll will your direct email. What's the best email to reach you at?
It's
Is it the one
Otto.
that?
Yeah, Otto at agentlocator.ca. That is the best email for me.
Okay. So what
Yeah.
I'll do is I'll send you a bunch of information. Like I'll send you the link to my program page. I can send you my Instagram page, our podcast page, just that type of stuff. If you have some time, you want to take a look at it over the holidays and going into the new year, and then yeah,
Awesome.
like I'd be happy to reach out to you again and you know anything that I can do to I know the service works. It's a grind. Like people don't understand that, right? They're like they think it's just like a magical solution. You're gonna get this company and get into it. Yeah, like once in a while you're gonna actually have something that's like, yep, I want to buy right away. But the big thing is if you set up a proper conversion process, that's where you're gonna get those higher conversion rates with internet leads, with any type of leads, right?
Yeah,
Um, so like I think that's what people don't understand, and that's a message that I could help provide to people, right? Like the service is great, getting you the leads, but you know what I mean. There's lots that you can do to automate it to keep staying
for
in touch
sure.
with people. It's all
Sure.
touch points, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Like, it
Exactly.
really is.
That's exactly what it is, man. So shoot me the email. Let's keep connected. I'm on Facebook quite a bit, so if you ever want to message me on Facebook as well, I answer there pretty quickly. I'm on
Sure.
Facebook primarily for business. I really, honestly, I tried having a personal profile, but it really doesn't work because there's not much business on the personal.
Yeah.
But I'm communicative there, so that's like the instant messaging solution for me. You can catch me there pretty quickly. Email, I respond to quick. Like email,
Mm-hmm.
usually there's been days where I kind of don't catch up on email for a couple of days, but messaging, instant messaging is also one of the. If you want to catch me, I'd love to keep in contact, Curtis, and as much as
Yeah.
possible. And
Well,
yeah,
and then the thing is too, like if we had you on our pod, and like my two buddies from the States, like they would have great questions, but
for sure.
I'd love to ask you certain questions, and like we actually create promo. Like I'll send you the link to our podcast page as
Sweet.
well. Because like with the podcast, we're actually trying to be like the new generation of real estate for buyers, sellers. It's something that we just started like within the past year. So it's just you can imagine, right? Like I'm trying to have my three main things right now in real estate to build my brand is my
Yeah.
sales business, residential sales business, my coaching, and then now the podcast. So we're really working on how we're connecting the three.
I think
To
it'll resonate. It'll resonate quite well with a lot of the younger agents. I mean, I think it'll
yeah,
resonate. Yeah,
yeah, but for sure. But it does with older people too. Like the funny thing is like when I talk most people I probably talk to are in their 40s and 50s when they're thinking about coaching. And majority of my clients, like I've coached people in their 20s, 30s, but the majority of the people I coach are 40, 50, 60. I've even had two agents that were from the US in their 70s before COVID hit.
wow.
I actually haven't checked in with them in a while. Hopefully they're still doing okay. Um, but like you got I was telling you, like I feel like the coaching industry needs a shake up. It's a little bit of an old boys club, and a lot of people are actually looking for that new idea, the new voice, and like
Yeah,
that's where the technology is coming into play, right? Like
for
the
sure.
funny thing is you hear all these brokerages and stuff talking about like the technology that they're offering their agents. When you actually dig deeper with what they're providing, they can't explain to you what that technology really is, right? So that's where for you thinking about your brokerage concept in the US, like you have the technology, that's your background. You've explained a lot of the stuff to me today. So that's the value right there that you like agents really need to have everything kind of like displayed out in front of them of like how it's working. And it's just funny because I know this because I talk to them on a daily basis,
Yeah,
right? Like
yeah.
it's
Well, agents also get sold quite a bit on shiny objects, right? It's
yeah,
like
exactly.
digging a shiny object in front of them. Oh my God, that's amazing. But when you really dig deep into the core of the value, where's the core? And honestly, the way that I've based my business off for the longest time is if I can't make you money, you're not going to give me money. Period.
Mm-hmm.
That's honestly the best way that I can look at it. And what I've struggled with is helping agents understand what they're supposed to do with these leads and how they're supposed to qualify because many of them are not there. They're not built to actually have communications with people. Like they can't talk to somebody who sometimes doesn't want to talk to them, and
Yeah.
that's that barrier. Like I can't help
They
those
can't take
people.
that rejection, right?
Yeah, I can't take the
Yeah.
rejection, and that's the hard part. And honestly, for those agents, is just weeding them out. And if they want to maybe concentrate fully on SMS, don't even call the leads. Just have the SMS
Mm.
system. You could still make the money. You could still make some money from it, but you'd be better off. Do you call your leads at all, or you just SMS completely?
I've that's the thing. Like I'm so busy right now. I'm really working on for the new year having a proper schedule
Yeah,
where I will actually because it's stuff that that's the main thing I coach agents on is like everyone. It doesn't matter if you're making 200,000 or 700,000. Everyone agents suck at time management.
yeah,
Suck at time
yeah,
management, right? And
yeah.
that's why they get off track with their follow-up systems and things like that. So adding the automations, but you still have to have kind of a schedule where you're actually going to reach out to your agents.
Yeah.
Like I've gone through some phases where I've been reaching out more to people, but I've been really busy with things the last few weeks with the holidays coming up. But
Yeah, of
like
course.
I have a plan in place for those people. Like we just sent out the mass email. Like I'm actually going to be sending, like I told you, a weekly email, right?
Yeah.
A weekly video email. Like that's
That
the
gets
new
them.
age,
Yeah,
right?
it gets them
Every
exactly. Yeah,
single week.
yeah.
People might opt out. If they opt out, I don't care. I don't want to
That's
work with them
beautiful. Yeah,
anyway.
yeah,
But
yeah. Exactly.
but like that's a way that you can keep in touch with these agent locator leads as well, because we're filtering them into our other
Yeah.
CRM, like which is iExact, which sucks.
Cool.
We're gonna switch it.
Follow Boss is really really nice CRM system. I've seen it do some
Yeah.
wonderful things. Yeah, it's
Well,
quite.
I'm with Royal LePage now,
Yeah,
and RLP has their new platform, RL Sphere, and
yeah.
it's pretty good. It's just I don't know how fully like capable it is yet. I don't know if I think they might have like rushed it out, and I don't know if it's like
Is it
fully
the KV
dialed
Core?
in.
Is it the KV Core version?
KV Core, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
KV Core. Yeah, KV Core. You should look a little bit deeper into it. They've got some issues when it comes to support, from what I've seen. And I hate talking negative about anybody because honestly, every company is amazing for what it offers. And the few things that I have heard when it comes to KV Core is support and the bugs that exist in the system are not
yeah,
handled. And then sometimes you're waiting. If you submit a support ticket right now, you're getting an answer 48 hours later, and that's an issue. There's no phone number for you to call because they can't provide phone service for all. If you look at everybody in Royal LePage, but their Royal LePage is not the only one that has them. Pretty much a ton of brokerages have them. So
yeah,
if they're billing about $10 per client, which is what they're billing per month, they can't provide phone service and phone support in that perspective. So those are
yeah.
just sometimes some of the issues that there exist. Before you kind of switch everything over to that, for iExact, maybe just take a little peek deeper. I know Follow Boss has been really, talked a lot about it that it's a great system, and we're working also on our platform to be more than just a lead generation, lead nurturing system, to really be a proper CRM system. That's coming in 2021.
Yeah. No, that'd be cool. That'd be something that we would look at, because like we were thinking about it too. We're like, well, iExact kind of sucks, and that's why we just recently sent out our last mass email text, or sorry, email message last week, because through Agent Locator, and like we incorporated a YouTube like
And you embed it, right? You embed the video into the image.
It. Yeah, it was embedded, and everything like that. So yeah, no, honestly, dude, like I think there's a lot that we can do to work with each other going forward. Like I said, I don't know what exactly that's going to be, but we can figure something out. Love to keep the communication over. So I'll send you an email. You said it's ado@agentlocator.ca.
Yes. Yeah. ADO@agentlocator.ca. Awesome.
Okay, cool. And I'll just send you, like I said, the information on myself. You can take a look at our podcast Instagram page, our regular Instagram page. And if you did come on the podcast, like we actually create clips of value that we provide to the people that have been on it. Like so far, we've only had, I think, 12 episodes, but we're really working on our schedule for the new year, because like I said, one guy's in Chicago, one guy's in Cincinnati, and my operations guy, John, he's like a jack of all trades, but he's our producer as well on it. Like he can do all this stuff. So we actually create clips, so you can take a look at it, but like we could create like some clips of value and things like that would be cool to be shared. Like I know you said you're big on Facebook, or you have your Agent Locator Facebook page. Like there's ways to do promotion stuff for you. So
1,000,000%. I'd be up for it 1,000,000%. Shoot it over and let's figure out a time and date, and let's figure out a subject we can talk about, and we can create value at any time. For sure.
Yeah, honestly, that's what it's all about for me, is just creating value, because like I'm not in it for the wrong reasons. Like if we create the value, then people want to work with both of us.
Absolutely.
That's it, right? So
Absolutely.
awesome, man. Well, it
Amazing.
was great to talk to you. And I know that we kind of got off track. Like, hey, if we need to do this again too, where you want
No,
some more
honestly,
in-depth stuff about,
we'll have
where you
enough
want some,
content.
yeah. If you want some more in-depth stuff about like whether it's a testimonial or whatever, I could definitely provide that down the line. Like, don't
No,
worry,
not at all.
I'm not
Honestly,
going
yeah.
anywhere right now.
No, I appreciate that. Honestly, I
Yeah.
think we got enough content. We can cut off some pieces and actually input them. The few questions. So you started, how long ago did you start with our platform?
I fully activated my agent locator service, I believe, right at the start of November,
November.
and I had the deal done within, like, client working with the client within like a week or week and a half,
Okay.
and then property sold within like towards like the third week of November. So like it happened really fast, and like I said, those aren't the only people that I've been talking to. Like,
Yeah, no, that's all. Honestly,
the cool thing is that that's the shiny object. You talk about the shiny object for real estate agents is like, this can be done off automation. It's
Right.
not like, you know what I mean? Like, yes, I do agree. Like, and like I said, I slack off myself, and it's funny that I'm a coach saying this, but like, I do need to be more on the phone with the people.
Yeah.
But like,
No, but it can't be done with automation. Yeah, like you said, this was done by you by automation. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
exactly. And then the good lead that I got today from Montreal, that was all automation as well. And hopefully we'll be able to get out with them after this lockdown stuff's over.
Amazing.
I don't think we're not letting Quebecers into Ontario right now. So
amazing. Awesome, man. Well, sounds good. Thanks so much, Curtis. Really appreciate your time. We'll keep in touch. Shoot me the email. Let's reconnect in the new year for sure.
Yeah, have a great holiday season, man. We'll talk to you soon.
You too, man.
Bye.
Thanks. All right. Bye.